And welcome to NBC News' special coverage of President Biden's State of the Union address. We are here for another hour. I'm Chuck Todd.
And I'm Kristen Welker. Thank you so much for joining us on a very busy night. President Biden has just wrapped up his second State of the Union, his third address to a joint session of Congress at a pivotal moment in his presidency, facing a divided Congress for the first time while also laying the groundwork for a potential re-election campaign.
Yeah, I think that finish the job line is something we're going to hear a lot of at some point down the road. Tonight, we heard him lay out his vision for the year ahead while rolling out that potential 2024 campaign slogan I told you about finishing the job. I think you counted 12 times, Kristen?
12 times.
I think in that,
yes.
That you heard finish the job that his administration started 2 years ago.
And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well. I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting. Power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view.
And there it is. As I mentioned, the president repeated that phrase, finish the job, at least a dozen times. Matters including confronting climate change, expanding Medicaid, to banning assault weapons.
Yeah, he was test driving that message for sure. Additionally, President Biden pushed Congress to send legislation to his desk to cap insulin costs at $35 a month, to crack down on excessive fees for consumers, and to impose a new tax on billionaires and corporate stock buybacks. The president also offered a full-throated defense of his handling of the economy, touting a strong labor market and the government's efforts to tamp down on soaring inflation.
Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. Jobs are coming back. Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years. You know, this is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America and make a real difference in your lives at home.
Speaking of phrases that may be test-driven, that's another one, the blue-collar blueprint for America. Another one of the major domestic issues mentioned tonight, police reform. With the parents of Tyree Nichols watching on in person from the First Lady's guest box, the president urged Congress to do something on the issue. We will be joined by Tyree Nichols' parents here in studio later this hour.
And on foreign policy, Chuck, it took him about an hour to get to foreign policy, by the way, which really underscores the fact that he wanted to focus on pocketbook issues. The president responding to criticism over his administration's handling of the Chinese spy balloon that crossed the nation's airspace before being shot down over the weekend. He said that if China threatens American sovereignty, the government would act to protect our country. We will have much more on this later in the hour.
I will say this. I understand politically why he didn't do a lot of the foreign policy. But when he wonders why people aren't as supportive of some of his foreign policy goals, one could argue you got to explain it to the American people more often, and they don't do that. Again, we know Americans tune that stuff out, but that's just, you know,
one of his biggest audiences.
That's right. Still, perhaps foreshadowing his expected 2024 re-election campaign, the president leaned into some of the same themes from his successful 2020 run while describing the State of the Union. Take a listen.
We have to be the nation we've always been at our best. Optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking. A nation that embraces light over dark, hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos. So I've come to fulfill my constitutional obligation to report in the State of the Union. And here's my report. Because the soul of this nation is strong, because the backbone of this nation is strong, because the people of this nation are strong, the State of the Union is strong.
Interestingly, something not in this speech, the mention of what the president has in the past called ultra-MAGA Republicans. He took aim at the Republican negotiating position on the ongoing debt ceiling fight and what was the most confrontational moment of the night in the chamber.
Some of my Republican friends want to take the economy hostage. I get it, unless I agree to their economic plans. All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be started. All right. We got unanimity.
You know, that was close, Kristen, to his era of big government is over. I guess we're all agreeing on Social Security.
Right.
That is going to be a moment we'll hear a lot.
Chuck, I got text from Democrats in real time saying they thought that was very strong. It showed that he was nimble. It showed he was feisty, and it kind of counters some of the narrative that he might not be.
He got everybody to stand up.
That's right.
He's like, let's stand up for Social Security. It was one of those, you remember, whatever you think of him as, he's the president, and he controlled the room.
That's absolutely right.
He got Republicans to stand up.
I think you're right that we are going to hear a lot more about that moment, particularly from Democrats who are going to tout that. He's going to head on the road, and I think they're going to be playing that over and over again.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.